It's that
Wait,
time, Rob. What?
yeah, why am I on this side?
I don't know.
This,
I pulled you up first.
all right, it's not okay. I
Yeah.
don't like it.
I pulled you up first. You like to be on the right side?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's where I always am. I'm so lost right now.
I'm sorry. Is this gonna screw up your whole feng shui of talking and seek with your soul?
It might. So when we bring Josh up, maybe you should just switch me.
I don't know how to switch it around
All right, then don't worry about it. It's not that
unless
big.
I take us down and bring us back up.
No, don't. I need to learn how to work my way through situations like this
Yeah.
where I'm on
Being
the
on the
left, right?
wrong side of the show. You have to work through that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. Well, everybody, it is every other Thursday and it's that time again. And so, welcome to Seek with Your Soul. You're right here with Sarah and Rob. And we've been having some amazing conversations. This is episode 6, Rob, although you always never count the first one as an actual episode.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't feel like it was an episode, but
Mhm.
okay, this is 6. 6 is good. 6 is
Mhm.
good.
This is 6. And, with all of you on the side, we've been working through, some pretty big conversations, I think, and kind of finding those similarities and the continuity and why we paranormal the way we paranormal. And when we get to add voices to this conversation, your voice on the side and bringing you up, like we did last week with Trevor or not last week, the other Thursday. That was incredible. That was on the fly, you guys. Like on the side, Trevor's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And he joined us right here on the show. And he was really vulnerable with the shares. And you guys on the side were so awesome with helping sort of connect some dots and kind of help guide him through some of his thought process. And I think it really sort of it hit him right in a certain way that on his
Yeah,
show he continued that conversation.
he did. He did. I
Yeah,
was proud to see it. I was happy to see it. Um, he's just such a good guy, you know.
he is.
So I think it shows the value of digging a little deeper and peeling back
Mhm.
some of the layers of preconceived notions around the paranormal and what we do and why we do it. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's fun to watch those little light bulbs come on for people
yeah,
that watch and partake in this show and with us at events and things like this. So it was really cool.
it was.
It was
It was. It was. Is it changing anything for you, Rob? Like, does it make you think of things? I mean, we've been having these conversations together for almost 2 years, but adding the voices, adding other people's voices to this conversation and expanding on some of our thoughts, theories, and beliefs, like how does this sit with you? Like, is it changing anything for you?
Yeah, it kind of does. That's a good question, right? Because you are my bestie, and we have had these really, really, really deep conversations and theories and thoughts, and
Mhm,
sometimes you don't know that other people are. It's how this whole show tonight is kind of come
mhm,
about. Why Josh is here, um, because it is kind of outside of the mainstream of
mhm,
paranormal, right? And when I started
mhm,
talking to Josh, I think we're at the bash, um, and he was like, "Oh yeah." So I was like, "Wait, what? There's someone else?" But at a couple of events, we've had a couple of different guests like be like, "Yes, this is how I think of things.
mhm,
Yes, this is. Oh
mhm,
my God, there's somebody else." So,
mhm.
like, yeah, it gives me a little bit of validation that you and I are just not batshit crazy.
They were just not two idiots in the I mean, we are two idiots in the paranormal, just making our
We
way
are,
through, but
but
we are we have brains.
there'll be some
Yeah,
other idiots joining us. That'll
yeah.
be
There's
good.
other. So should we say our hellos before we bring Josh up, or should we bring Josh up and say our hellos with Josh?
Bring Josh up. Maybe he wants to
Bring up
say hello
Josh.
to everybody.
Maybe he
Don't
wants to
need
say
him
hello
to
too.
be antisocial.
Okay, we won't let him be. Hi,
What's
Josh.
up, everybody?
Okay. This is now Josh has me hooked on sound effects.
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
not me. I'm not
sorry I
doing
had to
them.
do that to y'all.
But
Here
I'm
we
just
are.
noticing we're gonna get to it because we're gonna crack your safe open later. We're gonna
Yeah.
Uh-oh. We're going to say hello to well, on Wednesday, Josh, we referred to our beautiful friends on the side as our side pieces. So
Love it. I love it.
to them with you. So first we have here, this is Stacy Talladge, or Professor T as we call him. He is our resident remote viewer expert. We
Oh,
love
cool.
Stacy. He's so smart. You would love him.
and other things, yeah. But
Oh yeah.
he's who I learned remote. I studied
right.
remote viewing
Okay.
under Stacy. He's a good dude.
Yeah,
Cool.
he's
What's
he's
up?
awesome. He's awesome. We have our
Oh, I know
other
her.
best friend, Danny
Yeah.
Marie, right
What's
here
up,
with
Danny?
us. We love Danny. We have my co-host of Paranormally Blonde, Dee Dee, right here. Dream Interpretations by
Dee
Dee
Dee?
Dee as well. We love Dee Dee. She's such a good person. We have Sandra, Get Haunted Crew, right here.
Sandra. Yep. Get haunted. I see it on the hat there.
On the hat.
We have Mark Brown. We have yet to meet him in person for an event, but he is such a huge supporter. We love Mark Brown.
That's awesome.
Yep. And he is also in Georgia.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Small world.
Do you guys know each other, Josh?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Everyone in
I
Georgia
met you.
knows everybody.
Yeah.
Is that how that works?
Time around here, I might know.
We have Miss Rachel
Oh, I
Bradley
know
of
her
RTL.
too. What's up,
She's
Rachel?
we love Rachel. Got Kaylee in the house, another Get Haunted crew.
What's up, Kaylee?
We have Betsy.
Oh, Betsy. I know Betsy too.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
sure you brought some.
your stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's a great friend.
See, you probably brought some of your friends right here. We have Miss Tammy. We haven't seen you for
Tammy,
a while,
what's up?
Tammy. Hope you are doing well. We have Kimberly Horn.
Oh, I know Kim. Yep, we just
Look
it's
at-
been a couple of weeks. We were just up there with them. Kim and
Look
Scott.
at that. These are your friends. Here is Miss
What's up,
Bonnie
Bonnie?
Stevens.
Yeah, I know Bonnie.
Here's Rachel's other half, Kevin,
Oh, yeah, I know
right here.
Kevin as well. What's up, Kevin?
We love that. We have Horn.
Horn
Wait,
Paranormal. So that is Kim
it-
Horn and Scott Horn. So this
Okay.
is, if I had to guess, would be Scott behind the screen right there.
Very good. Very good. We have, we have Sam's Pretty Paranormal. We love Miss Sam Hundley. She is an
Hey, Sam.
amazing friend. I don't know who you are, Facebook user, but hello to
Hey,
you.
Facebook user.
It's always sad when we can't say hello to them
Yeah,
by
right.
their names, but there's Joe B from Next of Kin Paranormal.
What's up, Joe?
Let's see. Ari Spence is in the house. How are you doing, Ari?
Josh is bringing the party. Hell yeah.
Josh is bringing the party. We have Chris Mack here. Hello, Chris Mack.
What's up, Chris?
Oh, I haven't seen Nunzi for a while.
No,
I haven't seen that name. There he is.
Been on a break.
He has been on a break from us. And there is fabulous D Hoot coming in from Texas.
D-Hoot, I like it.
We
What's
love
up, D?
D Hoot. She is super, super supportive. Let's see who else. We have Amber Crank here in the house.
What's up, Amber?
Oh my gosh. Trina.
What's up?
See, these got to be some of your friends, Josh.
I recognize Trina.
And this is Angel Morales, I believe. I
That's
believe.
Angel Morales. He always
And
said
Jackie.
And bacon grease. What's up, Jackie?
There's Jackie. Yes, Nunzi's been editing since his eyes are bleeding. Yeah, that's
I know that
like
feeling.
the worst part. Yeah, that's the worst part of the whole paranormal gig. So, Josh, welcome to this conversation. We are super excited to add your voice to this conversation. So I don't know if you know what we do here on Seek with Your Soul, but we kind of like to go a little off the beaten path. As Rob stated, we don't,
Perfect.
we all know, right? We know the mainstream. Hey,
Right.
Elsie, we know the mainstream paranormal.
There's Elsie.
We've kind of done the whole, right? We get all the pieces of equipment. I don't know. How long have you been in the paranormal, Josh?
Oh man, I've been doing it 12-ish years. Yeah.
Okay. So, right, we all start off, we all want to kind of do everything that we see on TV or anything
Right.
that we see from teams that we love or YouTube, and we get all the equipment and we do all the experiments. And when you start to sort of accumulate those years, it sort of loses a little bit of its luster, right? You kind of are like, not really getting the same results, or it's not really hitting the way it needs to hit. And so we start wondering, what does it really mean? Why am I paranormaling the way I'm
The way
paranormaling?
you are, yeah.
So we like to just tear the shit out of these theories and thoughts and beliefs, sort of take them apart and build them back
Okay.
up and see what happens.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, and a little bit of the backstory, right, is how I even met Sarah. It's a long story. We did a whole lecture on it a couple weeks ago in New York. But I had a big experience. I had a really big experience at the Conjuring House, right? And it was an 8 month long, 7 month long ordeal, um, that with my old perspectives, really had me in a bad place, Josh. I
Right.
was scared, and for whatever reason, I was I was inclined to reach out to Sarah, and we talked, and she asked me a lot of questions that day. We barely knew each
Mhm.
other, but she really cracked a code for me, right? She really spun me 180, and and I've said this in the lecture. She probably saved my life. Um, where when we view things through the lens of pre-existing stories
Right.
and what we see on TV or the movies or reading books, they can be a lot scarier. But it
Oh
turns
yeah,
out,
for sure. For
right?
sure.
It turns out that this whole ordeal was one of the best things to ever happen to me. And that took an awful lot of me kind of soul searching and digging deep, really deep, to
Right.
find out what these big experiences, and there were about five that were really big there. I was there a total of 11 nights. I'm on number whatever, 17 now. But these big experiences all really meant something very, very personal to me. And there's no way this house should have known this shit, but it did. The story is pretty wild. So that's for me, was when I was like, okay. And when we start thinking about it, every really big experience I've had personally has been without equipment. It's been
Oh yeah, for sure.
just being sitting there, and then it happens. So that's what got us on this whole talk track. And then when we started doing this, the first or the second episode, we kind of broke down what we've been noticing is that, you know, certain age brackets, people have experiences sometimes at very young ages.
Yeah.
And then what does that mean down the road? And how do we experience things later? There have been studies where, um, kids who got attacked by a dog are later haunted by dog spirits, right? Whether it's real
Okay.
or not,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. We don't question really the stories. We're questioning, we want to understand the experiences. So, we did the age bracket thing. Then Sarah, what was the second thing? Then we went to later in life and started looking backwards, right? And this is where people that have been joining in on the side have been like, holy shit, you're right. And maybe some of them were like, wait, that really wasn't my first paranormal experience. Then they go back to
Right.
an even younger age, and it's cracked a few people open here, much in the same way that Sarah did for me. So it's been a really interesting journey so far. And then when we were talking, now if I completely misheard you, then this
No,
whole show it's gonna suck. We'll just have to know. But we were talking and started kind of talking about that, and you're like, oh yeah, I get
right.
it. And I'm like, oh, wait, yes. So I'm like, would you please come on the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here we are.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I mean, me and you spoke briefly, I think, in Gettysburg, and some of the stuff that you were saying is like how, we as searchers have come to start viewing things. Obviously Shane and I have our own like personal thoughts and opinions of, experiences and what they could mean, but that's what makes it great. I think having conversation between people and
Mhm.
being receptive and open, open-minded about that is what really will elevate anything in your life.
Well, if you can't, I should say, if you can't hear something else, and that's why I say taking beliefs and kind of we're not asking you to dump anything. We're not asking to change your mind. We're just saying, let's take apart some of our beliefs, some of our thoughts, some of our perceptions, and try to understand why we are there. And I think that it's opening that conversation. And Rob and I have conversations all the time that, it sometimes it leads us to another thought process. Sometimes it just leads you
Right.
right back to like, no, you know what? I think I'm going to stick with the belief I had there for whatever reason. It might be comfort, or it really might just resonate with you.
Right.
But I think I kind of want to start, Rob, because I loved this question. And I think we did this it might have been the second or third show, Rob, that you sort of asked this question, and we asked it of people. And I don't know if they really understood what we were asking, but would you consider yourself, Josh, an experiencer or an evidence seeker? And when I say that, because they were like, well, I have the experience to get evidence, but I really sit with
I
that for
know
just a
exactly what
second.
you're talking about.
Yeah, like, do you go to have the experience of paranormal if one should show itself? Or are you there hardcore looking to get evidence of the paranormal?
So, it's interesting. In my younger career, it was all about let's bring out every device known to man and try and collect something of
Mhm.
that. But once you get about, for me at least, once you're what's up, Kim? Yeah, we just saw her in South Dakota.
Right.
Once you get into it and get into the field and you've done as many cases as I have, and whether it's like personal cases, private cases,
Mhm.
or you're out in these commercial venues, what you tend, for me at least, I do very little. The data lies within the experience for me,
Yeah.
because it becomes, so when somebody tells you, hey, I have something strange going on in my house, like Rob was saying, who am I to tell them that they're not? You know,
Mhm.
um, all I can really tell, and that is what Searchers has been tried to be very transparent about, even when we do our videos, like our episodic content on YouTube. It's that we try to base it solely off of our experience. So what you see
Mhm.
is our experience. I can't
Mhm.
tell you what or why we came to the conclusions that we did. It's all based on our experience.
Mhm.
That so for me, experiences or witnessing other people have experiences is the validation and the realism to paranormal activity, right? Is if nobody had any personal encounters or experiences with any of it, would we be researching it at all?
Right, but why? Okay, so here's where you're right. But so this is what sort of Seek with Your Soul is about, though. But
Right.
why do you, Josh, why do you want to witness or bear witness to someone else's experience?
Um, so that I can try and offer a perspective, especially if they need help, so that I can offer a perspective as I guess if you view the experience as a first person, second person, as a third person there, um, the only way that I know that I can really understand and be in people's shoes that may be frightened or scared, or is to try and have that experience that they have, or see them go through it as well. Then I can
Mhm.
possibly offer my knowledge based on my history
Mhm.
on how to help them process that stuff.
Which really leads to, right? That's a whole nother
Yeah.
discussion that we could get into is, and Sarah and I have investigated together and experienced something at the same time, but there's
Right.
been very different experiences. Like Sarah's experience will be different than mine,
Of
which if
course.
you were
Of
there,
course.
it would be different. And that's another question we love to get into it and try to understand
So that's
is
part of the human experience, right? Is that you like, even with Shane and I, right? I witness him doing things, he witnesses me do things,
Mhm.
and our
Mhm.
opinions of what we think it could be, or it could be completely different. Sometimes they're the same, or at least on the same path. But I mean, there's plenty of times where they're not, but that's even better for me because it gives a little bit more dynamic on, that's something I haven't thought of. You know what I mean? And maybe that is what's going on. And, maybe that is what they're trying to show us, or maybe that is what they said.
You know, what's interesting about what you're saying is that and it's kind of what Seek with Your Soul is. We are talking so it is about paranormal experiences. Yes, it's
Right.
about universe for us. It is about connections and what the other side brings. But more importantly, it is about learning about the living person in
Yeah.
general and why we've come to this space. And I think sometimes, and especially when you're helping people, either in a private case or if you're out doing a public investigation, the reality is we get a little bit that gets pushed to the side, and we get really hyper focused on knowing what the dead do, knowing the paranormal, right? And we know they're going to get, we're going to get a hit on this piece of equipment. We know this. We're so sure. And what's interesting is when we start sort of breaking this down, and I think this is kind of where what Rob and I discovered when we first started talking. I mean, one of his first questions, and he had been on my show. I knew of him. I didn't know him personally. I didn't know any of his experiences. But one of his first questions to me when he reached out on a personal level was just, do you know my Conjuring House story? And he just blurted it all out. But it's interesting because I think what we learned in that conversation was he was very focused on the experience itself. He wasn't really thinking about why did this happen to him. He was in that house with other people, and other people weren't having that same they didn't have the same
Right.
effect wasn't on them. So
It's not
why
meant for them, maybe.
it might not be, right? Or it might be, well, that's what we're kind of trying to dig into, is exactly why are we all paranormaling the way we are? What is this that, you and you and Shane can be in the same house doing the same case, and you could have completely different experiences. And you're right, it might not be for one or the other at that time.
Right.
But then I want to dig into, but why? Why was it for Josh this time? What about your past? What about your beliefs? What about your past experiences?
Or
Even in your living life.
Exactly.
Why did it bring you to
Why
this
you?
moment in
So,
paranormal?
so I've come to believe that, like, and it answers to why some people can go into places and never have any like experience, right?
Mhm.
I've come to have an opinion or belief that I think they know. I think that whatever it is, ghosts, spirits, whatever we want to call it, because for me, it's way more complicated than that. I, I don't know if complicated or more detailed than that. I don't. It could. I feel like it's a frequency thing or a resonation thing that they choose you for a reason, and maybe it's just by happenstance. What's up, What's up, Ryan? I was about to say what's up, Josh. It's dumb. Start talking to myself. Anyway, I think there's a reason behind it. I think there's a reason that Rob, you, I guess, apparently went into the Conjuring House and had a very profound experience that was for you, right?
Several,
And it also could be for whoever is trying to relay that information to you on the other side of infinity, or maybe they see you as a path to get that information out. Maybe we don't know. We don't know what you look like to them, or what so maybe something about your energy is a beacon to them, and they're like, hey, here's an opportunity. Who knows?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I get it. And that night, right? I ran through so many things with Sarah, and over that whole, the March through pretty much August that I was working there, I kept a journal of all these things, right? And
Right.
Sarah's not one to talk about what she's capable of. But she's capable. She just knows shit. It's creepy.
All right.
You can't don't lie to her ever. But she just knows things, right? And and when she started sort of interviewing me about my experiences there, she was tying them, and she doesn't remember these questions, but she was tying these experiences. She started asking me like personal questions about me, and I'm like, why the hell is she even asking me this? And I went through a bunch of things, and at the end of that conversation, she's like, hey, she's like, Rob, I need to go sleep, but I'll leave you with this. Did you ever think that those demons you're fighting are yours, that they belong to you?
Yeah.
And she's like, have a good night. And I'm like,
Ah.
and so I sat there and it clicked, Josh. And I was like, oh my God. So I ran, I grabbed my journal, and I started going through, and then it started to really, some of the dots started connecting. And I'm talking, this is months of me just sitting there piecing this shit together. And I was like, oh my God, like that place. I used to look, I used to campaign against, not a campaign against. I would, back then when I was struggling,
Right.
people ask me, would you go there? I'm like, no, never. I wouldn't. Now I'm like, yeah, go. But guess what? If you're hanging on to something, or you have some baggage that you're not ready to shed yet, it might pull it out of you. And it's not just that place. There are other places that do it. For me, that's how this panned out. And the evidence that Sarah was able to sort of connect to points in my life as far back as 8 years old, once those dots were connected, it was astounding. And that's when I was like, and Sarah always says this, we're not magic, all of a sudden magic after we die. We're magic now. So for whatever reason, whatever was happening
Right. Oh, yeah.
was connecting through some shit that I had it going on, and it needed to happen at that time because I really wasn't in a good place. And as hard as it was for 6, 7, 8 months afterwards, until she started helping me, you hate it when you're in the middle of it, right? You got to walk through the fire to get to the other side.
Yeah.
But now with that new lens and looking backwards, it was indeed the best thing that ever happened to me. Didn't feel like it. It
Didn't
sucked.
feel like it at the time, right? But
yeah, and weird shit happening at my house at the time, to my dog, to my family. It was not fun, but it kind of paid off. So that's, I think, where, Sarah's talking about, tying back, and then something much, much bigger. And like you said, right, what was I resonating? What was I putting out there to where that house or whatever's there?
And maybe it's nothing there at the house. Maybe the house and where it is what is allowing that experience to cultivate itself. So maybe that experience in theory could have happened somewhere else, given the proper environmental adjustment.
Conditions. Yeah, and we have talked about that. It's pretty wild, right? So the whole other aspect of that was, why was I so scared? Why did I feel like that was the devil ruining my life? Movies, TV, books, all that fun shit. So, that's where I started. Literally, that was February of 22. That's where, for me, everything changed, right? And everything was like, now, oh, okay, here we go. Now it makes a lot more sense, because we're not, I hear a lot, and history is very, very important, right? It is an important piece to what we all do. But it's also sort of a container that we can fit stories into, right? Or we can fit experiences into.
Right.
So I think, in that case for me, I was fitting my experiences into the stories that surrounded that house. And
of course, because that's evident, right? That's evident in what you knew about the house. So like, you immediately, that's where you want to go. I do want to say there's a couple of people that have commented about it's a matter of perception or intent. I'm a huge believer in that. Absolutely huge believer in that. I get asked a lot of times about like I will say things from time and time again about my experiences or opinions, and people may say, "Oh, you're a skeptic," and I immediately try and like shut that down because
Yeah.
instead I want to paint a picture of where you could believe in everything and be equally as accepting to it being something explainable, but something that you haven't thought of as well, right? So that's because that's my intent, right? It's really tough to say, but if you go into a location or you're dealing with a case, for me as an experience seeker, or trying to replicate what these other people have experienced that need help with this processing this stuff, it's okay. Yeah, I have the intent that I want something to happen, but you kind of toe this line of like it's okay to have that intent. I feel like you just
Mhm.
have to try to be as transparent as you possibly can about your experiences and I guess like where your mind is if you do
Mhm.
experience something. You know what I mean? Um, and
So
it,
I,
and
ki- I do like that perception comment, and clearly we're all human beings and we all
right,
have our perception. So I think where Rob and I, why we wanted to open this conversation up, and not just tonight, but in general with everybody else, is this. I understand the perception take and I understand intention. What, but I think as investigators, and especially those of us that are in the field and it's something that is a part of our life daily, not just an interest that we kind of see here and there,
right,
why is your perception the way it is? And I think sometimes we take that for granted. We just kind of mosey through life, and we're not asking you to change your perception. We're asking, why are you at that perception? So, can you look back in your last 12 years and can you see a change in perception for you?
oh,
I think the
absolutely,
answer was already yes. Yeah, you
yeah,
said that at the beginning.
absolutely,
Um, so it's changed, but I love to dig into why.
why?
What was the change for you? What
The
was
change,
that made you go, "Hmm."
yeah. So the change for me is my desire to actually okay. So one, I'm a cinematographer by trade. All right. So it was two things. It was most importantly in this field and going out and doing the events that I was doing back in the day, which was like all the time.
Mhm,
Um, the people you meet, they all have their own paranormal story or evidence that they captured, and a lot of them have it in their own homes, and you
mhm,
can see their face and know that they are suffering because they can't understand it or don't know what to think or take away from it.
mhm,
I wanted to instead of it's great to take groups around, investigate with them, let them have their own personal experiences if they have them, but it weighed on me a lot because I wanted to have time to try and help people that wanted help, right? Um, and that's where it changed for me. Uh, and the only way I really knew to do that was because again, it goes back to it didn't matter to me fact or fake because it's paranormal, right? It's
mhm,
something we don't understand now.
Yeah.
So what are we? I can't put a fact on that. Shane uses the statement of we're all just stumbling in the dark still,
mhm, mhm,
um, and I agree with that to a degree. So for me, it was like the only way I know to actually help these people is to try and understand their experience the best way I know you know. So if they have a location that's haunted, maybe they're trying to remodel somewhere, can't get it done because their workers are leaving and this and that.
mhm,
Okay, well, I've had people literally just drop keys in my hand, drive off, say, "Good luck,"
mhm,
and I'll go spend days at the place, spend the night there, and no matter what it is. Uh, but I think at the end of the day, I can give them my personal experiences on that,
mhm,
good and bad, and I I hope or you hope that those things resonate with them and put them at ease because of how you for me, I try to just make them the experience that they are. I don't try to embellish them. I don't, and I hope that brings some sort of comfort to them, even if it is happening, even if it isn't happening. At least they see, okay, well, here's a guy that isn't blowing this out of proportion to me, or bringing, fear mongering me or anything of this nature. Now,
Mhm.
if there was something where I really think there was a case earlier this year that we were working with Sean Austin, and it was me and Shane. I worried about the family's ability to like stay there after that. I mean, it really weighed on me during that, and that's not something I take lightly.
Mhm.
So that's like one instance for me where I was like, okay, so there's something sinister, at least I feel like, here. If this woman and her kids are already scared based on the experiences that I can't tell them in good conscience to come back here and spend the night tonight. We need to do something to where I can feel better about it before I can make them feel better about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think that's, most of the times it's not an issue. Most of the times for me, I'm accepting of the experiences and activity that I get. And for me, I don't try and perpetuate it as being evil. Maybe it is negative because maybe they are upset about something, but it's more of a method of me to say, okay, calm down. Uh,
Mhm.
I get it. If you're upset, help me understand why you're upset.
Mhm.
Uh, and then try to help them. But then, this, like I said, this case that we were working with Sean with, it was relentlessly just, whatever is there just seemed to be angry for no
Mhm.
for no reason,
Mhm.
that I could see, at least. And so it was like, man, we dealt with that for 4 days or so, and it just became, uh, you know, Sean did some blessing on the house and stuff like that, which is stuff I normally don't even like delve into. But I was like, well, mm, maybe the intent of
Nerd.
that will help.
Yeah,
Um,
been there. I get that.
so,
Um,
and that goes back to me about, like, I don't want to be the skeptic that says, oh, that's not going to work, because I want it to work.
Mhm.
So by intent, hopefully, if that gives me comfort, it'll then give them comfort, because I can relay that emotion to them.
Mhm.
yeah. Two things. One, yes, it did change how I investigate my experience there. But and I get what you're saying, right? It did. After months of working with Sarah, I agree. Andrea, I did speak with Andrea many times on the phone. She invited me on her show to talk about this, right? And after some really long, if you know Andrea, she can talk, right? So
Right.
3 hours on the
Right.
phone. Um, and I struggled with it because it's a crazy story, right? And
Right.
I knew this was like, I'm like, okay, this is definitely corporate suicide here, because this is going to be out there. But here's what I learned, and it does help me understand why you love doing what you do, right? So I
Right.
went, did the show. It was 2 hours um, of just me pretty much spilling. And the next the next day, the phone calls started coming from as far as Australia to some weirdly coincidental people that I had just oddly run into. But the phone calls came, and there were a lot of other people having very similar
Oh,
experiences who
interesting.
were
Interesting.
struggling. Like they were like, "Holy shit, Rob! Like this makes so much sense." And
Think about the comfort of your experience and your ability and willingness to talk about it and kind of deconstruct it brings to these other people, right?
Yeah, because I'm telling you, Josh, there was a point I really, really thought I was going insane. And Sarah will be the first to tell you at the end of talking, and even still to this day, sometimes I'm like, you believe me, right? Like, you believe me. Now, I spent 24 years as this weird engineering slash marketing position for a big Japanese company where I spent every single day like deconstructing problems and then
That's
sharing
what I
those,
do. Yeah, that's what I do.
yeah, all
Mm,
over the world. So,
problem
you know,
solver. I work in engineering as well. So
there you go. So it was like this was one of the hardest things for me to ever just sit and digest, but talking about it, which is why this show for me and our even our crazy Wednesday lives are so important for people to know that you're not alone out there, and then
yeah.
perhaps take a different look at it, because for me it was the end of the world
Oh
when
yeah.
it really wasn't. It really was.
You know, nothing's never as bad as what it
Yeah,
seems, you know,
no,
and that I find that to be true across everything. If once you can give yourself time and just, hey, take a step back and
yep,
revisit it.
Mhm.
Yeah, you tend to find out, and like you were saying, Rob, you know, at the time it seemed like it was just the worst of the worst, but as you process through all of it, it's now you're better for it, right? And
yeah,
you know, that's a great example of that.
yeah,
I was just reading Amber's comment here. And I agree. I think that, and Rob, I feel like the more you've spoken about your experience, right? Obviously, there was a lot of emotion at the beginning, and especially as you started to share it on shows, you had a lot more emotion. And now I see that you can say some of the things, not all, some of them are still like a fresh wound for you. And I understand that, but you can speak about it. I think it's in its entirety, a little less with a little less emotion. You sort
yeah.
of detached that, well, because I think we hold on to some of those experiences, whether they're good for us or not, we hold on really tight to them.
Oh, I do. My heart still races every time I pull down that freaking driveway. There's no,
Yeah,
I've been on the phone with you when I've done it. It's don't forget, even though you kind of got past it, you don't forget.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
But that's why you had that experience, right? And it's all in what you do with it past that point. Um, you know, it took so when Shane and I first started Searchers, and then we, you know, in these past few years when we really started dedicating ourselves to it, one of the concerns was we when we do these cases, we can't have any reservations as to we can't let the fear of what we encounter or experience overtake our ability to do it.
Mhm,
And that was a real discussion, right?
mhm,
That seems like it's just a lot of times it feels like just a statement, but that was a real conversation for us because that was like, okay, if we want to do this and do this different, we have to be willing to pull back the envelope, peel back that a little bit, and mm, put ourselves in those vulnerable positions. But also, and you know, fear's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's an emotion like any other emotion that we have. Sadness, you know, all of these things. Um, it's all in like as long as you can understand that you still have to move forward because that's what we all in this field have to
mhm,
do is like even with the fear you need to be able to process it and keep going. Fear for us typically means something is happening, right? And
mhm,
so that's the worst time to try and run, you know.
yeah,
So regardless if I don't feel comfortable being in the situation that I am, if I'm experiencing something and we have to, that's what Shane is great about. It's what I'm great about because we always monitor each other regardless of
mhm,
what we're doing. And if stuff that like that happens, if I'm doing an experiment and things are happening, we're both
mhm,
like, okay, but things are happening, you know.
mhm,
And can you keep going? You know, keep going, push through it. Uh, because this may be the only opportunity we have to communicate with whatever's going on. So,
Yeah.
and we've really grown with that. Secondly, Shane and I have both so when we go and we talk at events, we're not talking about really our paranormal experiences as much as we talk about like our upbringings and our really it's turns into like a mental health type of conversation with people. And because that's why we do what we do, right? It's like, yeah, we're into the paranormal, but we do the events to meet everyone that wants to meet us. First off, we're humbled to be able to talk to a new person, secondly, we want to give them something past our paranormal experiences. We want to give them something in our life experience, and that's what we try to do. And it took us a long time. It took us a long time, Rob, to I'm getting to the point of it takes you time to peel back about your experiences to what happened. That was similar for Shane and I and our ability to talk about our upbringing. And there's still things that I don't talk about, but I will eventually. I know that I'm warming up to that because the greatest thing and the greatest the greatest thing that I get in return for all of that is that it really does resonate with people when we talk about it and talk about it in a big group setting, because these people are bottling those similar emotions up, right? And the fact that we are able to get up there and talk about it makes them feel better about where they are in life, and as they should, right? Because it goes back to it's never as bad as it seems, right? But if you don't have that outside perspective to tell you that, and in your case, it sounds like it was Sarah, asking these questions, and it sounds like she was getting to the point of you really should think of it from this way, Rob, and then you do the homework and you do the processing on that. Well, and that's kind of what we hope to, when people leave our events, that they leave with the idea, okay, well, these guys are going through it. These guys have gone through some of this stuff. We resonate with similar experiences in our own life, and we've been letting them beat us up for far too long. Maybe it's time for us to start accepting that those things happen. And hey, what's up, Shane? It's Shane. It's not Pastor Shane today. It's Pastor Josh. I'm talking about some of our talks, So
He's doing it.
yeah. So yeah, and that's what, if people come to they do come to us and they're like, man, we really appreciate your stories. We really appreciate your conversation. And that's we use the paranormal as a conduit to do that because we enjoy the paranormal. We enjoy helping people with their experiences. We enjoy having our own experiences, but the opportunity to be able to talk to people at these events, we want to leave them with something that's going to be better than, oh, I saw a ghost yesterday, and it did.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of how we tell our events as well, right? We get them experiences. We try to get them an experience, but we get into these kind of not always, but when the people are ready, and you can tell who is sometimes and who isn't. But at the events we get into theory, we get into what it is. I'm not a subscriber to, every ghost is trapped in a room, or they were a Revolutionary War soldier.
Right.
None of that resonates with me anymore. D Hoot's comment here.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Rob.
Comments here. Just last week, this lovely kid. Lovely. Did I just say a lovely kid?
Now you're starting to sound like me.
Where am I from? That is so not New Jersey. But he's not even a kid. But Trevor, it's kind of what you're talking about, right? Trevor was getting into a story about his paranormal. Sarah brought him right back to 5 years old, even though, because again, she knew something she shouldn't have known. What was happening? Was it 5 or 12? Sarah, I think it was 12.
12 is where he thinks it started.
But it was something that happened, during his personal life that also kind of bled over to the paranormal. So So what was happening, and how do we tie these things together, and what do they really mean to each other?
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like our
But
life experiences
oh,
truly play
absolutely.
into
They
our
define you,
paranormal.
right? And that's no different than in the experiences that you have in the paranormal field either.
Right.
And that all again, Rob, goes back to your perception, right? Is like years down the road, if you had some not so great experiences in life and things are adding up for you, your perception is being distorted because of your previous history, right? And so it is a building block. Your whole life is a constant building block.
Yeah, hundred
Well, and
percent.
I think it's what you and Shane do, and I have not had the pleasure to watch you guys on, at a Paracon doing your lectures, but I think that is exactly what Seek with Your Soul is, and it's where we actually don't talk so much about any paranormal experiences. We ask you to think of them,
Right.
but we did start off with the second show we were talking about, and I was going to pull them up because for whatever reason I cannot keep them straight in my head. But we talked about the ages that we kind of go through. Well, think about these age groups and what you could have had happen at that time,
Right.
and sort of how it changes, right? So it would be like that 6 to 9 age range. So I'm not it's hard because I've had some people, we've heard it all, where somebody will say, well, I had my first experience at 2, and I don't know how realistic it is to say I remember exactly something at 2. That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
I'm not saying that it's absolutely not possible, but I think that is that would be a hard, unless it's something that was told to you. Like
I can
maybe it's
barely
a
remember
story
what
you
I ate
heard.
for breakfast. So like I'm
Yeah,
probably not the one to make the judgment call on that.
yeah.
I'd be like,
Like
there's no way.
yeah, menopausal brain doesn't give you a memory either. So look, I get it, but I think saying 2 is a little, so we try to make people really stop and think about these ages.
Right.
So it was like a 6 to 9, maybe 5. Then the next kind of grouping was 12 to 15, right? And this is where we
Mhm.
start, junior high, and you start watching really a lot of scary movies without supervision, right? Maybe
Right.
you're getting into things, you're getting the witchcraft books, right? If you're a girl, you're going to the library and picking that stuff up. 17 to 21, you start to get some independence. You're kind of going out on your own. So now life is changing. Your perceptions are changing. You're kind of getting your own opinions out there. And then 25 to 32. And what was really interesting was when we really start focusing back on the living and what we're doing at those points in our life and some of the experiences, on the side, it's exactly what you said, Josh. On the side, it was resonating with people and they were sharing like, "Oh, this bad thing happened to me," or "This traumatic thing happened," or "This big memory happened, and I remember a paranormal thing happening at the same time." And they just opened up. And you're exactly right. I think in the field of paranormal, especially the more we're doing this on social media, or right, YouTube is social media, but we all want the likes, the clicks, the follows, the
Right.
views. It's hard to mimic what we see out there without,
Right.
I don't want to use the faking word, but if we're going to embellish our experiences a little bit, because we're trying to make it all look like what everybody wants to consume. But what we have found in this particular community, and that's been coming back every other Thursday with us, is people want to have a deeper understanding to, wait, why do I think this about paranormal? Wait, wait, what did happen to me? And when did I
Right.
change this thought? And where did I even get this thought in the first place? And that's the bigger picture, in my opinion. We really start to understand each other. And it's what I think I heard you actually really kind of say it is, as you're helping some of these people, you're listening to their stories. It's not about the dead. You're listening to the
It's
living
about
story
them.
to
Yeah, of
understand
course.
why they are doing what they're doing, or
You know,
why they're experiencing what they're experiencing.
your ability to help what's on the other side of things is
Mhm,
also important. Don't get me
mhm,
wrong, but that's not why you go where you're going, right? It's not like they
mhm.
called you up on the phone and they're like, "Hey, we're hanging out and we're stuck in this location. Can you come help us out?" Sure, that may be a byproduct of you if you have some communication going on. It definitely is for us. And
Right.
one thing that we hate is leaving something open ended because we
Mhm,
especially if we have profound communication with whatever or whoever, it's disheartening and it's upsetting because I want to be able to at least have some sort of resolution for them. And more often than not, we don't get to do that. And it's tough. But for the living, we're able to get closer to that, by having that conversation with people.
Josh. So I had something kind of similar happen not that long ago, whatever month it was. I was in West Virginia at the old hospital and college.
Yep.
And yeah, we had some communication going. Now you got to, I believe that was your first time with Cody and Satori.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got
I think about that today, by the way, Rob. Thank you.
Yeah. It's freaking insanity. So if you don't know on the side, go look it up. It's ridiculous.
I don't know what to think of it yet.
Yeah, there's
And
nothing.
and all I have to say is that if you do look it up and you do see any videos, like, yeah, watching it from a video, it would be easy to explain away, I feel like, but be there and watch it, and it changes your perspective.
Josh, I've had people in the same room going, "This is bullshit," and I'm like,
yeah.
Nope. I would walk up behind those two and just put my hand on their shoulders and boom, 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 they come in. But I tried this in West Virginia, and we may or may not have had success. And I talked to Satori at Ocean State Paracon, but there was a recording, and we believe it was this girl. And I sent her. I said, "Look, go look for Cody, Satori. Give them my name. Tell them they can help you. Like if anybody can talk to them, it's those two." And there was maybe a hit there because Satori was like, "Wait a minute, what was her name?" So yeah, I know what you mean. The frustration level was there for me because there were people in tears that night with this girl. So I tried. We'll see what, I don't know, but maybe that's, I don't know. It's the coolest thing, guys. You got to go witness it somehow, but try that next time. But tell them, go look for it. According to, on the other side, they see Cody and Satori. When they touch, they see him as a pillar of light.
Okay. And that might be true. I mean,
yeah. What's been knocked out. So that's how they know to go to them somehow. Listen, my dad has showed up so many times. It's friggin' weird. So I tell them, go look for that light, look for Cody's story. I don't know. May have worked, may not have. But if you're ever stuck, they didn't seem to mind that I sent them their way, I guess.
Yeah. So like, a repetitive thing that we get in communications is, you always get the word help or, "Hey, I'm dead," or, I mean, it's such a common thing, or "Where am I?" or things of that nature are just so frequent. And that tells you that if this stuff is real, a lot of them are very confused and what is happening on the other side. Sarah, I do want to say there was one thing that you said about traumatic experiences and people's own past life. I think that resonates with paranormal activity in itself, right? So a lot of paranormal activity exists because of traumatic experiences that happen to the person as they why would we think that doesn't affect us in our living life,
Well, and it kind of goes back to, what, for me, like, I don't know, the three of us probably have very, very different experiences under our belt. I've been at this for over 25 years, about 28 years now. So I don't have, I can tell you, I have met people that have been in this for just a few years, and they have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of experiences. I've been at it for almost 28 years, and I can probably have a dozen that I would consider something that would be shocking. Just
Sarah, I think that changes a lot with experience. I mean, I would agree that if you ask me the same thing, because we get asked all the time, "What's your most profound experience?" or "What's the scariest location you've been to?" or most active location, and it's a harder question to answer than what people would think, because first off, I can't remember every single thing that has happened. I can't. Second of all,
Sarah's also a tough one. Like, she can watch so it can be right in front of her, and she will acknowledge it, but she's like, I don't know if that was anything.
Yeah.
Well, well, but here's the thing, and I think, but this is where, again, so I'm willing to tear apart why do I do that? What is it about
Right.
me? And look, I don't need, I know I know what feels right to me, and I am a big, big believer in universe. And, I think that I feel there's a lot in paranormal that really doesn't do experiences justice.
Right.
So I'm not looking to be thrown downstairs. I'm not looking for any experience like that. It's about understanding like why at that moment, I think I'm trying to remember how you said it at the beginning, but when you said sort of like people, I think are the portals in the end.
Oh,
I think we
absolutely.
we come into these locations, and we'll hear everybody's perception on, well, this is a location that has this portal in this room, or this is the portal room, or this is, well, I tend to think it's us. We're the portal, perfect storm. The
Yes.
three of us walk into a location,
There's
and Josh, you're
variables.
just it, right?
Yeah.
You're the portal to
There's
that
variables
location.
that just happen, and it goes back to that pillar of light comment you made, Rob. Maybe it is some sort of beacon to people, or
Mhm.
whatever is on the other side. Maybe that's what they're seeing. I don't know, but I do feel like through my experiences, it is very environmental oriented, and it's very personal oriented,
Mhm.
and it's a
Mhm.
mixture of things that really, like, a lot of times you don't know why it's happening, and they may not know why they're able to communicate with you, but it gets them equally as excited because
Mhm.
they can at that point.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
And
regarding you may not be the hero of any story, life or death, but in that
mhm.
moment, random or
Yeah.
not, you are the guy, you are the girl
Yeah.
that is communicating, and it's important.
And so Hood, I mean, the answer is yes and no. There are people, this is where it just isn't general. And I think that's why it's really important to understand our own actions, our own bodies, our own emotions, how we react. Again, many of us love the idea of paranormal. It's something that we just love for whatever reason. I grew up watching scary movies with older sisters, so it's probably what started it for me. So we all kind of come to it for different reasons. And again, I'll state a lot of investigators out there have these they speak very confidently about what's going on the other side, but really probably couldn't tell you what goes on if they don't eat enough during the day, right?
Right.
So you
Yeah.
don't understand what your body and what your emotions and what your chemical makeup at that moment is doing for the other side. So it's just that for me, I tend to watch everybody else in an investigation and less about the paranormal. I kind of watch to see who's reacting, who's not reacting. Sometimes the quiet person is getting something that you don't even realize,
Oh, yeah.
that, somebody that's being a little bit more dramatic or theatrical. I don't know. To me, there's a lot more to it, but I love the fact that, the Cody and Satori thing, I did get to watch you, Josh, as you had the goggles on. You had no idea what was going on.
That's why those
Um,
experiments are great, right? That's why
Oh
we
yeah,
my
do
God.
them in searchers, the sensory deprivation things. It really it deconstructs your influence
yeah.
as to what's going on, right? And
Yeah, you
it's
just
real
sitting there. It was one of those, like, watching you, and you weren't it wasn't 1,000 miles per hour of paranormal. You were just speaking where you were speaking, sitting there and watching. There was no plan for it.
Mm-mm.
0, no plan for it. You didn't know that we were
Didn't
even
even
gonna
know they
do
were
this
doing
experiment.
anything.
And I'm not even sure you weren't even the one, like, it wasn't like, "Go get Josh, we're gonna put him under."
No. I
You just
wanted
were
to
like,
go just to try the goggles. And
yeah,
like I said, in
Well,
searchers, these are things that we use.
yeah.
Um, and so it really resonated with me. I was like, man, I want to go and try this. So and that's what I was doing. That was before I knew anything about what Satori and Cody
Well, they didn't. It
are
wasn't
doing. So yeah.
I was sitting there, you were under, right? And Cody sent me a text. He's like, "Should we do our thing behind Josh?" I'm like, "Yeah, like do it." Because Sarah at that point had not witnessed their magic, and a lot of people in that room hadn't. So, but I wasn't quite sure. I've been in old houses with them and mansions, and
Right.
it's different in there, right? And we're in
Yeah,
a
yeah, of
freaking
course.
modern hotel.
Yeah.
So I was like, what's that gonna sound like? Kevin was feeling those thumps in his prosthetic leg, which I
That's
found
crazy.
amazing. Like he
That
was
is
feeling it
crazy.
like the
Yeah.
nerve. But anyway, so yeah, there was no plan. So when they were behind you doing that, um, and watching what was happening with you, I was like giddy about it.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause
But
that's
in
the
the same
stuff, right?
vein,
That's the stuff, even if it's, like, calm, and that's even better, really, because you're like, "Man, this is, like, real connection going on."
Mhm. I feel like because I was sitting I was sitting right next to Josh. Rachel was
you
on
were
the other side of Josh, and as soon as co and it was, and it is one of the most surreal moments you'll ever experience, but as soon as they came behind you and you did there was a moment where I remember he could feel them behind him. Like
Man.
you kind of made like a move, but you
Yeah.
didn't it didn't shake you out of it.
No, no,
And
no.
then they touched, and it was when I tell you, it was immediate. It was an immediate and you sitting there and all this going on around you was
Isn't
it
that
was just
strange, man? Isn't that strange that, like, I could feel them
yeah.
and they
yeah,
didn't
no.
never touch me? Like,
But and part of me felt bad for you. I'm like, he needs to be able to just experience this shit. I
no.
figured they would keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we find often when we do experiments, the person that really gets the satisfaction of it are the witnesses of the experiences, right?
Mhm,
The experiments, because
Yeah.
that's the key information, and
mhm,
it happens so much with Shane and I. So yeah, I mean, but I'm happy to be the one doing the experiment, so somebody else could
mhm.
actually experience it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
No, it was kick ass. But back to that topic just for a moment, and you two are so right. I truly believe the three of us went to Wendy's right now, sat down,
Yep.
ordered our meal, sat down.
Frosties and fries at this late
Guys,
hour.
we could get activity. I believe that. I believe we could do an
Yep.
EVP section and get an
Mhm,
EVP. Like sometimes it's ridiculous with EVP. Sometimes they'll preempt my question. And that's
Right.
really one of the things that got me going. Is this thing recording my thoughts before I even ask the question? Like I don't even know
Oh, dude,
sometimes.
isn't that phenomenal? That's a phenomenon in itself, right? Even if you are
mhm,
investigating that, if you're having conversations, sometimes you get the answer to your question before you even answer the question,
Sure, I agree. It
or
blows people
sometimes you
away.
get the answer to your question from multiple different people, like repetitively. It's
Oh,
mhm,
it's fascinating to me, and you only learn to realize that that is a common occurrence after you've investigated like several places, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
had several experiences where that's reoccurring, and
mhm,
like, dang, there's
mhm,
something to that then, right? As
yep.
is they know what I'm going to say before I say it, and they're answering before I say it.
mhm,
So then it leaves this whole credence of like how does time even play a part in that? Does it play a part in it to them?
It's great. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. Like, I have this little maneuver I do. I ask for a certain word, ask them to repeat a certain word. We were at the Shanley Hotel one night, and I'm like, all right, I need you to repeat these two words for me. It just says it before I even ask the question and then repeats it. I don't get that, right? So then it just throws a whole new layer of complexity into trying to understand what the hell it is we
mhm.
are doing. But
Well,
I'm curious. I believe and we probably should, Josh, if you weren't so far away, go to Wendy's.
and do it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This something that I've been thinking about with all the paranormal experiences and investigations and such is that for time only exists to us, because of the 3D plane. Maybe they do know, because time doesn't exist to them the way that it exists to us. Maybe whatever dimensional plane that they are on, it's different for them. So
Mhm.
maybe in their world, you are saying it already. And so it's not them reading your mind, but it's them just responding. But you don't know that,
Or maybe it's the other me going,
Yeah.
all right, enough with that same frigging question for the 30th
Right.
time.
It could be.
Don't know.
And bizarre stuff, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. That would be a great experiment. Let's get Frosties and fries and see if we can like somehow transport that somehow with Estes or
I
Okay.
tell you what, Rob, when we do events now, we do the Estes method. We've become pretty known for doing it in the communications that we have. So we do them at events, but we let the event people do them, and we just kind of set it up for them, get them prepped for what it's going to sound like, feel like when they do it, because a lot of these people have never done it before.
Oh yeah.
What is really great is when those people start having conversation or start saying things, and the rest of the group's like, oh my gosh, like, for other people that have never tried it, they then are the witness to what is happening, and it completely blows their socks off. And it's the same thing with the Gonsfeld, goggles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Listen, we've done, when Sarah can't make our events, sometimes we'll go live and she'll host them, kind of like what we're doing tonight. But we've done location to location Estes, and it's been weird. It's been really weird on a couple of occasions where it seems like locations start kind of
Maybe
we did 3.
Maybe you
three
become like a
locations.
conduit to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's right. It was New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, right?
It was.
Or Connecticut.
No, it was New York. It was New York. It was Enfield. It was Palmyra, and it was White Hill. So New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York.
Yeah. It doesn't. 3 different states, 3 different locations, and it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yes, this is one of our favorites too. It's just
Trina. I mean, that's what we're all about in our events, because it's the events are not about us having our experience. The events are to try and cultivate with equipment that you may not be able to normally use, or people to almost, I hate to use the word, almost to try and coach how you do this experiment, and then let you do it. Yeah. And just be there to, hey, what's up, Suzanne?
You know what? Can I pause this for a second?
Absolutely.
No, leave Susan up. Susan, I messed something up. I made a mistake today, and I laser engraved something with the wrong name.
Woo!
And now it's yours if you want it.
Aw,
awesome.
Look at that. Look at that. There you go,
Dude,
Susan.
It's a laser grid.
That is pretty cool. That's a good idea right there.
Yeah, it's a laser grid, Susan, with your accidental name on it. It's all yours. Shoot me.
No,
that is
that's
awesome.
That's not how we talk, Rob. That was universe working, knowing that Susan would stop by tonight, and she now has her own laser grid that's been waiting for her.
Well, then thank you, universe, for putting Susan in instead of Maddie. I don't understand how that happened. It's yours, Susan. So just DM me on Facebook. So there you go.
Fun.
Thanks for stopping in.
Fun.
Yeah, the whole thing, just when you really sit back and really start looking at it and understanding our connections to the other side, our connections to what we experience, how we experience it, and then finding other people that have similar thoughts and concepts in their heads. So I, like, when we started talking, I'm like, oh my God, got to have you on the show, but that was kind of how this all started. Sarah helped me out. Then she came on as social media manager. And then next thing you know, she pretty much runs the entire company and tells me what to do every day. But
that's how those social media managers work, man.
That's how it
works. Gotta slide in there, and then we have all your passwords, and then you're screwed.
You're done. You're done.
But go ahead,
no,
Sarah.
That's, honestly, and it sounds like Josh and Shane's are very similar to what we do, but for Get Haunted, and it is about finding your passion for the paranormal. It's about finding your passion for yourself, really. It's going out there, asking the questions. It's not about really finding those answers. It's figuring out, again, just why are we at this spot right now, and not staying too much in the past, but understanding how the past does affect what we do today and all the people that we meet. So the more we open up that conversation, as you said, Josh, the more we open that up, we're not telling you what to think, we're just
Right.
asking you to think. That's it. Just think a little deeper, get past replicating what you've seen on TV, get past the mainstream, because I think once you kind of break free from those blinders of the mainstream of paranormal, it's really where the beautiful stuff comes in.
Oh,
Scary or not,
absolutely.
it's kind of where the
I call
beautiful
them,
stuff comes
I call them, glimpses, right? And I
in.
use
Mhm,
that word
Yeah.
more now than ever. It's because of, Rob, and I know both of you guys will resonate with, once you do this and you do this a lot, you stay pretty busy traveling.
mhm,
Going, and Kim and Scott, we went out to South Dakota among a million places that we've been to this year, but we were super busy. Um, they lent us their UTV for the weekend while we were there. And no, we didn't get to go out because we're always like, again, we're super busy when we're doing events. But just the drive, because of being up in the mountains and stuff, just the drive from like location A to location B, those are the glimpses, right? Those are the times where you're like, you really start uh resonating with those small
mhm,
moments,
mhm,
in which you really, it brings you a sense of like calmness and puts you in a better place. Like I used to be such, 2, 3 years ago, because of my job and the amount of problems that I have to solve for other people all the time. And you're like, man, why is this even a problem? You'd be angry and I'd be angry and I would be angry at work and angry at home and angry in everything that I do, because it's always fixing someone else's problem. And a lot of
mhm.
the problems that I'm fixing, they should have never ended up being problems to begin with.
Stop. You're giving her more fuel. I hear this all the time because if I'm like, I
Yeah,
pick everything apart, Josh.
dude, I'm in
And,
such a
and
better place today than I've ever been with that. And because
same.
I analyzed. It took time, but it was
Mhm.
myself that had to figure out, like, I analyzed that it's, you just gotta let it go, man, and then through that, one of the things that I've started really appreciating is those glimpses of, even if I am super busy, make sure you take, even if it's 2 minutes of, take in the view of the mountainside as you're going down the road in UTV, you know what I mean? Be accepting of those offers and opportunities to do just those small things. Or maybe you are staying at a haunted B&B and it's, you get up at 10 o'clock in the morning, go spend 30 minutes outside on the porch and just
Mhm.
unwind and appreciate those things. Humans don't give ourselves enough credit for the value that we put to everyday life, and the value we put to things going on, or the importance of us. John Tenney does a great speech about that, and how rare it is for you to be you and for me to be me, and where we came. It takes billions of years for us to be us. Um, we view ourselves as, I'm going on 38 now, but it takes far longer for me to come into existence than that.
The
Um,
baby.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I
I
don't feel
want to
like
rock
it.
you in my arms right now.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no. Oh, no. But you're
38. Ugh.
you're right, though. We do take life for granted. And I think,
It's easy to
again,
do, though. It's easy to do now more than ever. I get it.
it it
Yeah.
is. We have many distractions, but I think that's what conversations like this is why these are so important. It is, again, we do take life for granted, and we have to not focus so much on the dead part of paranormal, but our part of paranormal to
as well.
appreciate that, because the dead part might be easier than you realize in the end. As I always like to remind Rob, we're all going to die. It is inevitable. There's nothing we can do about that. So, you
We
know,
only fear it because we don't know what it is. I mean, that's what it all
right.
really boils down to, right? Is but yeah, I mean, it's like getting a shot, right? Like
Oh, stop.
a lot of people hate getting shots. I don't particularly want to like volunteer myself to take every shot in the world, but at the same time, I'm able to like deconstruct it to be like, okay, it's going to take like 2 seconds. They're going to put the needle in and it's done. You could view death that way as well. That one, like it could be a seamless transfer. I mean, you don't know until you're on the other side of it.
We don't know until we're on the other side. I don't know. What do you think, Rob?
But yeah, I don't love being reminded that I'm gonna die. All right, and my 53rd.
My body reminds me that I'm gonna die.
Don't tell me. I'm 53 next week, Josh. So I don't want to hear it. But yeah, you know, and obviously as we get older, we think about these things more. But what the paranormal has given me, what these kind of changes in how I view things now have provided me is a little more comfort there. And then meeting Cody's story, right? That really, once you experience that, you're like, okay, I can check out now. I'm pretty sure I can pop in and talk to people. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and all these craziness I went through for that amount of time had happened to link everybody up. I truly believe that we're all on a path, and I was supposed to meet Sarah. I was supposed to meet you. You and Shane are two of the nicest friggin' people I've ever met.
We try. We
No,
actually.
you really are. You know, and I mean, last year at the bash, you know, Shane came right up the table, we started talking and drank a beer that night. I think just really, really down to earth and cool people. So, and you coming on this show, I was like, yes, the win. Because again, hearing to being able to talk to somebody else who shares similar or same beliefs sometimes is not easy, because
Right, of course.
a lot of people don't want to talk about this stuff. So yeah, you know, as soon as I heard you start talking, I'm like, all right, we got to talk. We got to get you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to take every opportunity that I'm able to. I appreciate that, Scott. You and Kim are some of the greatest as well. I try to take every opportunity I can to, you know, if I get invited onto a podcast, if I can do it, absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. Yeah, man. I really hope that these kind of conversations become more prevalent with just society in general. You know, let's break it outside of the paranormal. You know, we try to relay the paranormal to the dead, but the paranormal is just things we don't understand. Your cell phone 100 years ago would have been paranormal. I damn sure wouldn't have remembered or thought in my life that we would have a small computer in our hands. Never.
Right. So
blows my mind today.
For the people on the side that are new to us, and you did bring along some new people, thank you all for coming. Yeah, we do events, right? We have different kind of events, right? We have sort of the old school, you know, what you do on TV kind of events that we do all over the country. But then we have a couple levels up, right? We have sort of one more spiritual one. Then we have something called Making Sense of Your Senses, which I think you should come to.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
That's where we throw away all the equipment. And Sarah teaches scrying with a twist.
Okay.
Danny teaches psychometry. I teach, somehow, thanks to Stacy's knowledge on the side, remote viewing. Which, dude, it works. I don't understand it to this day.
Hey, I've never done it, but I go back to the fact that our government spent a hefty amount of money trying to research it themselves. So there has
years and a lot of merit
to it. I'll leave it at that. You know?
it's all linked together, right? Like
Yeah.
we hear psychics talk about remote viewing. I do believe that it's them downloading that information rather than projecting themselves out. So it's a
Right.
long thing, but Jesus, it worked. And next year we're gonna do a few of those. So you're more than invited.
Yeah, man. I mean,
It's fun.
I'm sure it's inevitable that I hook up, Shane hooks up with Get Haunted at some point to doing a.
Yeah, get Shane. Shane's been saying that for a year, but he made a
Dude,
video, by the way.
to his credit, he's gone like literally every weekend.
I know.
It's insane.
But I got him to make a video for our girls versus boys
I
challenge.
did see that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I did
Yeah,
see
you
that.
saw who we threw the vote to, right? Sure. That one. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, that was my video, and he still threw the vote. But yeah, I need to get you guys out. So making sense is really, really cool. And then we take everything that these people and a lot of skeptics were there, and we're like, all right, how the hell did that just happen? Like, it's
Yeah.
really cool. And then we turn them loose to do an investigation utilizing those techniques and maybe a voice recorder or a K2 or something.
Right.
So that's kind of that cool next level that we like to see people move towards.
Right.
Well, because I think that brings it to what we're asking you to do is to be the experiencer, not the evidence seeker for just a moment. Just
Right.
sit with yourself, sit with the location, sit with your passion and your connections. They're there. They're waiting to be made. You just
Hey.
have to.
And those are the things that will be value added to them. They don't, maybe people don't realize that yet. Maybe they think it's catching that EVP, but it's not the EVP itself that adds value to you. It's the fact that you caught it, right? That you're the one that recorded it or had that conversation. That's when people really have their own personal experiences with this stuff. So
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. Yeah, the conversation is never ending. This is just another aspect of paranormal, and to bring in another voice. Josh, thank you so much for your time.
absolutely. It's been
Seriously,
great. It's been a great
your
conversation.
experience. And we just love to dig in a little bit. And again, we're not asking you to change your minds. We're just asking you to think a little bit differently here and there and see what you can come up with. You might go right back to what you thought before, or you might go, wait, what the hell? I'm going to go check this out for a little bit. So join us every other Thursday. We continue this conversation right here on the Get Haunted Network. Everybody on the side, of course, our followers from day one, thank you so much. And all our new friends that showed up. For Josh, thank you for showing here. As always, we see you. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much for your time and your words. Yeah, good stuff. We're just going to keep going, and the conversation doesn't stop here. Yeah, it does.
I want it now.
This conversation has to keep going, guys. So please come over to the Get Haunted Network on Facebook if you're not there. Throw some questions out. Say, hey, I was watching the show with Josh and somebody said kind of was cool. Let's continue that conversation. We have some amazing people there that love to talk. So it doesn't end here. You can't stay here, but you don't have to go home. You just can't stay here.
The conversation never ends.
Is it Patreon?
Patreon. But the confusion that I have is the people that do subscribe. I have to remember that they're called patrons, not Patreon.
Yeah. And you can win some really cool stuff. Get Haunted is a patron.
Patron. Yeah, patron.
Yeah, we are top tier. Get on there, support these boys. They give away amazing. You guys give away amazing
and that stuff. That's all thanks to Horn Paranormal and our friendship and relationship with them. They it's been fantastic, man. And all of that money, it gives us the ability to produce more content, to go out there and film more stuff, to visit more people around the country, and have these conversations. So
yeah. So get on there, become a patron like me, like Sarah, like Get Haunted, and win some cool stuff from Horn Paranormal, which I need to win. Josh, can you make that happen?
Hey, so we're going to be doing the next giveaway soon. So every month we're giving away a SLS now. So that is gonna be what it is. That is again, thanks to Horn Paranormal and Scott and Kim. They are fantastic. We do have one more product that we will be releasing here soon. I just have not had time to do photos of it and put it on the website, but it's like any day it'll be posted and it's awesome.
Oh,
Damn it.
well, looks like
You're going to see it and you're going to be like, dang.
I
this is
know. I'm
cool.
not going to win. I don't win anything ever, except I win scratch off tickets.
Hey, you know
scratchies.
what? We
Not
went to
enough.
South Dakota and Shane was like, you know, they do a lot of casinos there. And he was like, man, you're not going to play. You're not going to play. You're not going to play. I was like, I play to lose, Shane. I don't think you understand this. Like, there's no world where I'm going to win money off of these things.
Oh no, you can. I won.
Oh, he does. I didn't.
I won. I won almost 30 grand in a half an hour in Vegas.
Cow, man. Yeah, he won like 1,500 on a just a little slot machine.
That
Like a whole like 30 seconds, and I spend $40 and blow through it in 30 seconds.
I don't win every time.
And he was like, "You're not going to put another 20 in?" No. If this $40 has shown me anything, is that I'm not going to win in the next 20.
But
awesome.
seriously, again, yeah. Now everybody wants to go to Vegas with me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it's not going to work. But seriously, Josh,
me
thank
up.
you. Thanks for taking time for us.
Yeah, it was awesome, Rob. My pleasure.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, guys,
You gotta let
we're
Shane
gonna
out of the
do.
safe now. So you can let
What's
Shane
that?
out of the safe. He's got to let Shane out of the safe behind him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that where he is?
Yeah,
Shane's in
I'm
the
locked up
safe.
in there. It's the only way I can keep him from traveling all the time.
I was just looking at the calendar. So the 26th is our next Seek with Your Soul, and the conversation will continue. So join us right back here on the 26th. Or as always, you guys can check Rob and I out every Wednesday, midday, midweek, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, right there on the Get Haunted Network. We're just chit-chatting with everybody, all things Get Haunted. So check us out there. And anything else, Rob?
No. The Wednesdays that's where we get a little crazy. We get a little.
Ooh.
All right, I need that.
Yeah, I know he's gonna end up buying that. He's gonna say, "Guess what I ordered."
He's gonna be texting me right after this.
Oh yeah,
what is it again?
Yeah, I guarantee you, I'm gonna guess what comes in the mail in a couple days. He's gonna be all excited, and we'll have sound effects. So thanks,
It's awesome.
Josh.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, have a great night, everybody.
Yeah,
All right,
have a
guys,
good
it was
night.
Awesome.
Bye.